Hey guys, tonight we take a walk together, not just any walk, but the kind where your feet are already on a path, and the question is which one? Picture yourself at a fork in the road under a twilight sky. One way is narrow, shadowed by ancient trees, the other wide and sunlit, but strangely unsettling. You probably won't survive this mental check without questioning everything you thought you knew about your direction. So before you get comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe, but only if you genuinely enjoy what I do here. Oh, and drop your location and local time in the comments. Let's see who's awake with me. Now dim the lights, maybe turn on a fan for that soft background hum, and let's ease into tonight's journey together. You trudge forward, but stop a moment's hesitation as you sense this isn't just a stroll. You've already chosen a path, even if unknowingly. Historically, crossroads have symbolized critical decisions in human culture. In ancient Rome, for example, crossroads were considered sacred spaces where travelers sought guidance from gods. The very idea of standing between two paths carries weight beyond your imagination. Did you know that in medieval Europe, crossroads were also believed to be places where spirits lingered? Historians still argue whether these beliefs shaped actual travel routes or just the folklore travelers clung to for comfort. Your path is not merely physical, it's spiritual. You've either stepped onto the way of Jesus or onto a road that leads elsewhere. Don't worry, no judgment here, just an invitation to recognize where you are and what lies ahead. You feel the crunch of gravel beneath your shoes, the scent of pine and damp earth filling your senses, and the slight chill of the evening air. It's like the world itself is urging you to look carefully, to choose wisely. Maybe you've heard the old joke about people mistaking a detour for a scenic route. Well, life's detours can be just that misleading. Tonight's journey won't be easy, but at least it's honest. You're already on one of these roads. The question is, can you see it? Because unlike those ancient travelers, you don't have the luxury of asking a god at a crossroads. Your answer is inside you. You keep walking, eyes scanning the road ahead, but really it's the signs along the way you need to watch. Subtle hints in the trees, whispers in the wind, or glaring neon arrows screaming your destination. Maybe you've noticed these signs before but shrugged them off. "Not my problem," you muttered. But here's the thing, signs are everywhere, even if you don't want to see them. Historically, travelers relied heavily on physical signs, stone markers, carved crosses, or even waypoints like inns and shrines. The Romans, for example, had an extensive network of milestones marking distances and directions. Those stones weren't just practical. They were reminders that the road you're on matters. A quirky tidbit is that some ancient road signs were actually riddles or puzzles to test the traveler's wisdom. Imagine stopping mid-walk and having to solve a riddle to know if you're going the right way. Talk about pressure. Historians still argue whether those puzzles were a real practice or an exaggerated tale from travelers' myths. Back to you. Your signs might not be stones or riddles, but feelings, events, or people crossing your path. Are you feeling peace or unrest? Is there a lightness in your chest or a heaviness that won't shake off? You might notice moments when kindness unexpectedly shows up, or conversely, when despair seems to gnaw at your soul. These are your spiritual mile markers. Remember the last time you felt that odd sense of déjà vu, or a coincidence too perfect to ignore? Some call it divine intervention. Others say it's the universe's way of steering you. Regardless, these moments are road signs for your journey. The road Jesus invites you to walk often has signs of love, forgiveness, and selflessness. They're not always flashy. Sometimes they're quiet nudges to help a stranger or a sudden insight to forgive. Hell's path, on the other hand, often bears signs of destruction, pride, and selfishness, like neon signs flashing. Keep going, but leading nowhere good. The choice isn't always about loud proclamations. It's about the whispers you heed or ignore. So, are you listening? The road less traveled. You've heard that phrase before, right? Well, following Jesus often feels exactly like that. It's not the trendy or popular route. It's the one with bumps, unexpected detours, and plenty of "are you sure you want to keep going" moments. You might think the Jesus path is all serene hymns and Sunday best, but it's more like a spiritual boot camp with occasional oasis moments. Historically, the early followers of Jesus weren't exactly crowd pleasers. In first century Judea, choosing to follow Jesus meant risking social rejection, persecution, or worse. Those first disciples traded comfort for conviction, walking a narrow way that challenged the status quo. Fun fact: did you know some scholars think the word disciple originally meant learner or apprentice? So you're basically signing up for an ancient apprenticeship, learning how to live differently. Historians still argue whether Jesus intended his teachings to start a formal religion or more of a radical lifestyle movement. Your heart surprisingly might rebel against the Jesus path at times. You'll wrestle with patience when the world seems unfair, forgiveness when someone really doesn't deserve it, or humility when pride feels more natural. But here's the kicker: those struggles are part of the journey, not a detour from it. You might have heard the joke about the guy who took the wide road because it had free snacks. Spoiler: the Jesus path rarely offers snacks but promises growth. And the growth? It's the kind that reshapes your soul and rewires your priorities. Sensory moment. Feel the uneven dirt under your feet, the distant call of a night bird, the crisp air hinting at change. This path is often quiet, demanding that you listen not just to the world, but to the whispers within. It's a road that calls you to act with love, even when no one's watching, to choose kindness over convenience. The Jesus path isn't easy, but it's purposeful. And in its challenges, it offers a peace the other roads can't claim. So as you trudge forward, ask yourself, are you ready for an apprenticeship that changes everything? Ah, the wide and crowded way, the path that seems to welcome everyone with open arms and zero questions asked. It's the road that's lit up by flashy distractions, promises of instant gratification, and an endless buffet of why not moments. The joke's on those who think this is the easy road. It's easy to step on, sure, but it often leads you farther from where you want to be. Historically, this wide road has always been the path of least resistance. In ancient Rome, the Via Appia was known as the Appian Way, a wide, well-paved road famous for swift travel and bustling traffic. But here's a quirky tidbit: that very road was sometimes called the Queen of Roads, and ironically was also a route where many prisoners were marched to execution. Historians still argue whether the fame of the Appian Way overshadowed its grim role, much like how the wide road in life often masks its dangers beneath a shiny surface. On this path, you'll encounter all sorts of temptations: selfishness dressed as self-care, anger cloaked as justified frustration, and pride parading as confidence. The signs might look inviting: parties, easy pleasures, the illusion of control, but the destination is a different story. The wide road is like a carnival mirror, distorting your true self while offering funhouse thrills. Feel the hustle around you, the clamor of voices pushing toward more stuff, more approval, more distraction. The air is thick with noise and smoke, the kind that blinds your inner compass. Maybe you've joked that your phone's notifications are your personal hell, but there's truth there. This path overloads you with noise, so you can't hear the quiet that guides. You might wonder, why do so many choose this road if it's so perilous? Because it feels safer to blend in, to avoid hard questions, or to ignore the slow-burning emptiness. But here's the kicker: this road often leads to a place you don't want to end up. So as you walk on, ask yourself, are you following the crowd, or is there a whisper calling you to step off the beaten path? Your heart's compass, that invisible sometimes, confusing sometimes crystal clear. Guide plays a huge role in determining which road you're on. It's like that old-fashioned magnetic compass sailors once trusted: only this one points, not to north, but to what truly moves you. You've felt it, haven't you? That tug towards something bigger, something better, even when the rest of the world seems to shout otherwise. Historically, cultures have long believed the heart held more than just blood. Ancient Egyptians thought the heart was the seat of the soul and moral judgment. During the weighing of the heart ceremony, if the heart was heavy with wrongdoing, the soul faced dire consequences. Here's a quirky fact in medieval Europe. Some believed the heart physically pulsed in rhythm with a person's moral state. Historians still argue whether these beliefs influenced modern expressions like heartfelt or having a heavy heart. Your desires, choices, and emotions are all part of this compass. You might crave connection, truth, or peace, or you might find yourself pulled toward power, comfort, or rebellion. These feelings aren't just random. They're indicators of the direction your spirit leans. Think about the last time you faced a tough choice, maybe choosing kindness over revenge or honesty over convenience. Your heart whispered, shouted, or maybe even hesitated. That internal dialogue is your compass working overtime. Sensory moment. Feel your heartbeat right now. Steady, irregular, excited. That rhythm reflects your path. The more you tune in, the clearer your direction becomes. But beware, just like a compass can be thrown off by magnetic interference, your heart can be confused by fears, doubts, and distractions. Here's a reminder: the Jesus path asks for your heart's true north: love, humility, and grace. The other path might lure you with quick fixes, but often leaves the heart lost and wandering. So, which way is your heart pointing tonight? Faith and doubt, the eternal dance partners on your journey. You don't simply walk a spiritual path without tripping over skepticism or wrestling with questions. Sometimes faith feels like a warm blanket. Other times, doubt sneaks in like a cold breeze, making you shiver. Historically, faith has been the cornerstone of countless civilizations. The ancient Hebrews, for instance, faced exile and hardship, yet their faith kept their identity alive through generations. Here's an odd fact. Some medieval scholars believed doubt was a necessary test of true faith, like a spiritual stress test. Historians still argue whether doubt strengthens or weakens belief, but one thing is certain: it's rarely absent. You probably know the feeling? Maybe you prayed for something, then wondered if anyone was listening. Or you stood in a church pew, eyes glazing over, thinking, "Is this really for me?" That internal tug of war isn't a flaw, it's part of the process. Sensory moment. Picture a flickering candle in a drafty room that's faith amid doubt. The flame dances, sometimes steady, sometimes trembling, but it keeps burning. You too can hold on to that light, even when shadows creep in. Faith in Jesus often means trusting without seeing. It's stepping onto that narrow path, knowing the end isn't fully visible. Doubt can make you stumble, but also offers a chance to deepen understanding. Think of it as mental push-ups for your soul. Hell's path. Well, doubt there often morphs into denial or apathy, a shutting down rather than wrestling. So, when doubt visits, don't panic. Welcome it, question it, but don't let it pack up your bags. Your journey isn't about perfection, but persistence. What's your faith-doubt story right now? Historical footprints of Jesus. These aren't just dusty marks in ancient manuscripts, but echoes that still shape your path today. You might think Jesus is just a figure from old stories, but history paints a more complex, fascinating picture. His life and teachings have influenced billions and continue to spark debates among scholars and skeptics alike. Did you know that outside the Bible, Roman historian Tacitus wrote about Jesus' execution under Pontius Pilate? It's like an ancient witness putting a timestamp on your journey. Here's a quirky tidbit. Some ancient coins even depict symbols linked to early Christian beliefs, hinting at the rapid spread of this movement. Historians still argue whether these artifacts were widely recognized or confined to small communities, but the influence is undeniable. Your path might be shaped by how you perceive these footprints. Do you see Jesus as a revolutionary, a spiritual teacher, or something more? That interpretation colors the road you walk. The debates continue. Was Jesus purely divine, purely human, or something in between? These questions matter because your belief influences your steps. Imagine walking where he walked through dusty streets amidst crowds sharing stories that challenged kings and commoners alike. The air thick with anticipation, the sounds of sandals on stone, the murmur of voices debating life's biggest questions. Your journey taps into that history, whether you realize it or not. This historical weight adds depth to your path. You're not just wandering aimlessly, but walking where countless others have, before each making choices that ripple through time. So, as you proceed, ask yourself, how do these historical footprints guide your steps today? The nature of hell myth or reality? This question has haunted humanity for centuries, whispering doubts and fears in equal measure. You might have been told about fire, brimstone, and eternal damnation, but scholars and theologians debate fiercely what hell really means, if it even exists as commonly imagined. Historically, the concept of hell has evolved. The ancient Greeks had Hades, a shadowy underworld, while early Christian thought developed more vivid images of punishment. Here's a quirky fact in medieval art. Hell was often depicted with bizarre creatures like the hell mouth, a monstrous gaping mouth swallowing the damned. Historians still argue whether these images were meant to frighten or teach moral lessons. Your path may feel weighed down by the fear or dismissal of hell. Is it a literal place, a state of separation from God, or perhaps a metaphor for spiritual emptiness? The ambiguity itself can be unsettling. Feel the chill of that question. It's like a cold wind swirling around your feet on this journey. Some say hell is not a place you go to, but what you become when disconnected from love and grace. Others hold to the fiery visions as real warnings. Whatever your view, hell's shadow reminds you that choices have consequences. The road you walk is lined with signs of light and darkness, each pointing to different endings. So, as you continue, consider this. How does your understanding of hell shape the steps you take now? Temptations and trials. They're like those annoying speed bumps on your spiritual road trip. You didn't sign up for the detours, but here they are, testing your resolve, poking at your weaknesses, and sometimes making you question if the journey is worth it. You know that itch to take shortcuts or settle for less. That's temptation whispering sweet nothings. Historically, trials have been pivotal in shaping faith. Think of Job in the Old Testament, enduring unimaginable suffering, yet refusing to renounce his faith. A quirky tidbit: some desert monks intentionally sought harsh conditions to test their spiritual endurance, basically DIY boot camps for the soul. Historians still argue whether such ascetic practices brought them closer to God or isolated them too much from community support. You might face temptations disguised as harmless distractions or even necessary compromises. The challenge: recognizing when a temptation is just a momentary pleasure or a trap leading you astray. Your trials can feel like lonely nights, financial stress, broken relationships, or internal battles with doubt and fear. Sensory moment. Picture the sweat on your brow as you push through a steep hill. Lungs burning, heart pounding. Those trials forge strength and clarity, even if it doesn't feel that way in the moment. Jesus himself faced temptations in the wilderness, refusing easy power and comfort to stay true to his mission. Your path may call for the same kind of grit, saying no when every voice screams yes. So, when temptation knocks, will you open the door or stand firm? Grace and mercy on the Jesus path. They're the unexpected lifelines thrown when you least expect it, or maybe when you feel you least deserve it. Walking this road isn't about perfection. It's about accepting that even when you stumble, there's a hand ready to catch you and pull you back. Historically, the concept of grace was revolutionary. In a world ruled by strict laws and punishments, the early Christian message of unearned favor shook the foundations of society. A quirky tidbit: the Greek word for grace, charis, also means gift and kindness, blending warmth with generosity. Historians still argue whether early Christians fully grasped the radical nature of grace, or if it was a comforting ideal. You might have felt grace as a sudden peace during turmoil, or mercy as forgiveness when you thought you were beyond it. These moments aren't just spiritual fluff. They're tangible experiences that reshape your journey. Picture the gentle touch of mercy, like a soft rain on parched earth, reviving your soul. The Jesus path offers this renewal not as a reward for good behavior, but as a lifeline for brokenness. Sensory moment. Imagine the scent of fresh rain mingling with earth, refreshing, cleansing, and full of promise. That's grace, an invitation to start again, no matter how far you've wandered. So as you walk on, remember, grace and mercy aren't just ideas. They're the fuel that keeps your journey alive when the road gets rough. Are you ready to receive that gift? Consequences of choices. The road you're on isn't just about the journey. It's about where you end up. Every step, every decision, whether big or small, stacks up to shape your destination. It's like dropping stones into a pond. The ripples spread far beyond what you see. Historically, civilizations have long acknowledged that actions have consequences. The Code of Hammurabi, one of the oldest legal codes, spelled out precise penalties for actions justice served in exacting terms. Here's a quirky tidbit. In some ancient societies, the concept of eye for an eye wasn't just punishment, but a way to maintain social balance. Historians still argue whether such strict laws truly prevented crime or just fueled cycles of retribution. On your path, the consequences aren't only legal or social, they're spiritual. Scripture paints clear pictures. Choose the path of Jesus, and you find life, peace, and fulfillment. Stray and you risk separation and regret. But here's the twist. The journey includes redemption, a chance to change course. Feel the weight of this reality like a shadow stretching longer as the sun dips. The tension between freedom and responsibility is real. Your choices echo in relationships, habits, and ultimately your soul. The wide road might offer temporary pleasures, but often leads to emptiness. The narrow way demands sacrifice, but promises true life. You've probably heard the saying, "What you sow, you reap." That's not just farming advice, but spiritual truth. So, as you walk, ask, are your choices moving you closer to who you want to be, or farther away? Community and solitude. Two forces pulling at your journey's rhythm. You might feel surrounded by people yet profoundly alone, or conversely find deep solace in moments of solitude. Both play crucial roles in shaping which path you're truly on. Historically, early Christian communities were tight-knit, sharing resources and supporting one another amid external pressures. The monastic tradition, emerging centuries later, embraced solitude to deepen spiritual focus. Here's a quirky tidbit. Some monks would wear chains or stay in small cells to physically detach from distractions. Historians still argue whether community or solitude best nurtures faith, or if it's the balance that truly matters. You probably recognize that sense of belonging when your spiritual journey is bolstered by others who share your values. They cheer you on, hold you accountable, and walk alongside you through trials. On the flip side, solitude offers space for reflection, prayer, and the kind of honest conversations with yourself that crowds often drown out. Sensory moment. Imagine the warmth of a shared meal with friends, laughter echoing, hands joined in prayer. Then contrast that with the quiet crackle of a campfire under stars, your breath visible in cool night air. Both moments nourish your soul in different ways. On the Jesus path, community is often a source of strength, but solitude is where personal transformation deepens. On the wide road, community might be superficial, focused on self-interest, and solitude can breed isolation or despair. So, as you continue, consider, are you leaning on supportive fellowship or wandering alone? And how does that shape your path? Signs of transformation, sometimes subtle, sometimes startling, begin to appear as your path changes you from the inside out. You might notice new patience when once you were quick to anger, or unexpected joy in the midst of hardship. These shifts aren't accidental. They're markers on your spiritual GPS. Historically, transformation has been central to faith journeys. The Apostle Paul, once a fierce opponent of Jesus' followers, became one of Christianity's greatest advocates after a profound change. A quirky fact, some early Christian writers described transformation as a new creation, like a caterpillar morphing into a butterfly. Historians still debate how much early followers emphasized inner change versus outward actions, but transformation remains a cornerstone. You may experience moments where old habits lose their grip, or where your priorities realign toward love, service, and humility. These signs can be as quiet as a softened heart, or as loud as a life turned upside down. Sensory moment. Imagine the gentle unfolding of a bud, slow but unstoppable, or the first light of dawn breaking through darkness. That's transformation, gradual but powerful. Sometimes transformation feels uncomfortable. It's the soul's version of growing pains stretching you beyond comfort zones, but it's also the pathway to freedom. So watch for those signs. They're your inner compass recalibrating, guiding you closer to the path meant for you. Are you ready to embrace the change? The final stretch. It's like the last few miles of a marathon when your legs ache. Your breath is short and every step feels heavier. Yet the finish line is in sight, glowing like a beacon pulling you forward with a mix of hope and exhaustion. This part of your journey demands everything you've got, plus a little more. Historically, many spiritual traditions emphasize the importance of endurance in the final stages. Early Christian martyrs, for instance, faced their last moments with remarkable courage, believing their journey culminated in eternal reward. A quirky fact, some medieval pilgrims carried miniature swords or relics symbolizing their readiness for spiritual battle in the home stretch. Historians still argue how much these physical tokens influenced the pilgrim's mindset versus the internal faith driving them. You might feel like giving up when trials intensify or doubts flare brighter. Maybe the world's distractions grow louder or your own fears scream turn back. But it's precisely here in the fatigue and temptation that your true path reveals itself. Sensory moment. Feel the sweat dripping down your forehead, the rough texture of the path beneath your worn shoes, and the distant sound of cheers urging you onward. The Jesus path promises strength, not from yourself alone, but through grace and community. The wide road might tempt you with shortcuts, but shortcuts here often lead to dead ends. So take a deep breath and keep stepping. This final stretch might be the defining chapter of your journey. What will you do when you reach the edge? Which path are you really on? It's the question echoing beneath every step you take, the unseen current pulling at your soul. Maybe you thought you had time to decide, but the truth is, your journey is unfolding right now with each breath and choice. Historically, humanity has grappled with this question. Ancient philosophers debated destiny and free will, while religious traditions laid out roads to salvation or ruin. Here's a quirky fact: some cultures used path metaphors so extensively that their words for life literally meant the road you walk. Historians still argue whether these metaphors shaped beliefs or reflected innate human understanding. You might feel both hope and fear: hope for redemption, fear of loss. Your path isn't a straight line, but a winding road sometimes, foggy, sometimes clear. The footprints behind you matter, but so does the next step. Sensory moment. Feel the cool breeze, whispering possibilities, the soft crunch of leaves beneath your feet, and the steady rhythm of your heartbeat syncing with the earth. Remember, the path of Jesus invites transformation, grace, and eternal life. The other path warns of separation and regret. But it's never too late to turn to choose anew, to walk toward light. So where do you find yourself right now? Look inward, listen closely, and ask, which path am I really on? Now, as your journey nears its gentle close, breathe in slowly. Let the weight of decisions soften, the tension melt into calm. Imagine the twilight fading into a soft night sky, stars twinkling like distant promises. Your path may twist and turn, but beneath it all is a steady pulse, the heartbeat of hope. Whatever road you've walked, remember that change is possible, grace is near, and peace can find you in the quiet moments. Let the cool night air soothe your spirit, the hum of the fan, or the whisper of the breeze, carrying away worries. This is your moment of rest, a pause before the next chapter unfolds. Now settle into stillness, knowing that wherever you are seen, you are valued, and you are not alone. Good night, and may your path be guided by light.